Nityam Sanyata Charino Neva Devo Nagandabbo Namaro Saha Brahmuna Jitang Apajitang Kaira Tatharupasa Jantuno Attahavejitam Seyo Yajayam Itara Paja Attadantassa Posassa Nityam Sanyata Charino Neva Devo Nagandabbo Namaro Saha Brahmuna Jitam Apaditam Kaira Tatharupasa Jantuno. Meaning, self-conquest is indeed far greater than conquest of all other forms. Neither God nor Gandharva nor Mara with Brahma can win back the victory of such a person who is self-subdued and ever lives in restraint. Here we can understand the Buddhist attitude towards our self-discipline, mental purity, and self-reliance. These three things: self-discipline, purity, and self-reliance. When a person attains these higher stages, the Buddha says, there is nobody in this universe who can disturb or who can change or who can defeat such person. Usually, we surrender to other external forces such as God, Brahma, or some unknown evil spirit, because our minds are not pure, not strong enough. We have not disciplined our mind. Therefore, always our mind succumbed or surrendered to all the external forces, whether such forces exist or not. The mind itself creates that there are such forces. The weakness of the mind. Those who have attained even the first stage of sainthood maintain unshakable self-confidence or self-reliance and work according to his or her own conviction without depending or without following others' theories or beliefs or practices. Now we are willing to follow others, listen to others, if not others can disturb or shake our belief because our minds are not strong. That is why people easily surrender to others. People are not trying to find out the truth. What they need, just something to satisfy their emotional feeling of fear or craving or suspicion. When others come and tell us, if you follow this method, if you do this, you can get rid of them, then you follow, you trust them. This is our weakness. I have told you this incident. So one day, the Buddha visited a house, very rich man's house. After having dana, he gave a sermon. After listening to this sermon, that man attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. The story tells the Mara was watching. He was very unhappy about that. What he did when the Buddha left this house, he come and represented, transformed himself in Buddha figure and told him, do you know what I have told you just now? I realized it is a mistake. That is why I came back, to tell you not to believe what I told you earlier. Then this man said, I don't think the Buddhas have two words. When once the Buddha said something, he never changed. Therefore, I don't believe that you are a real Buddha. Then the Mara disappeared. This is called unshakable faith, confidence, accepted the truth by using his or her own conviction. In our case, we borrow ideas, belief. Krishnamurti says, those who get such ideas from others are second-class human beings, because they haven't got their own ideas. They are second-class human beings. So we have to develop our mind to understand the truth without borrowing ideas. That is why always people come and tell us. People say, we should not do this or we must do this, but we do not know what to do. People say, but they have no mind to think, to understand whether it is true or not. It is not that they have no mind. They have never given this chance for their mind to use this mind properly, think earlier. So the mind is very lazy, doesn't want to think. So get the ideas from others. So the Buddha's advice is, we must cultivate our own mind, try to understand within our capacity what we can understand. By realizing this, try to control our mind, our senses, our words, and our action. There are 4 things here. First, we must have self-discipline. Here, this word self, we refer the mind. There must be discipline in our mind. Otherwise, our mind goes on thinking and thinking, creating all sort of rubbish and imaginations, unnecessary things, by creating fear and worries and disturbances. That means no discipline in the mind. Then we also harbor wrong concepts, wrong ideas and imagination. No proper discipline or training in our mind. Again, when little bit of disturbance or criticisms or accusation come to us, mind has no courage to face. If the mind is disciplined, such criticism, blames or accusation cannot disturb the mind, because mind knows how to face. I think you can remember, Selo Yatha Eka Gano in Dhammapada, in another place. When the mind is strong, well disciplined, well trained, that mind is just like a rock that wind cannot shake. And all those blames, accusations, criticisms, just like wind. If the mind is strong, you can listen to them with smiling face, not with sour face or angry face. This is called the development of the mind. Cultured people, understanding people who have developed their mind sometimes welcome criticism. They want to know whether there are any mistake, whether there is any mistake in their way of doing things. Therefore they invite criticism or blames or accusation for them to correct themselves. But we are not ready. If anybody come and criticize and blame, accuse, we get angry. We shout. We treat him as enemy. That is called mental weakness, no discipline. So, when the mind is disciplined, then the mind knows what to think and what not to think. There are 4 methods introduced by the Buddha. How to maintain mental discipline and how to develop courage in our mind. We had to introspect or concentrate without allowing our mind to think or without considering properly. Uppannānaṁ pāpakānaṁ akusalaanaṁ dhammānaṁ or anuppannānaṁ pāpakānaṁ akusalaanaṁ dhammānaṁ. Here are 2 things. Those evil thoughts which appeared in the mind, you had to consider very seriously. These thoughts are bad and harmful, can create enormous mistake. Therefore, develop your mind to wipe out, to get rid of such evil thoughts. That is the first effort, to maintain mental discipline. Second one, although 1 or 2 evil thoughts appear, there are many more not yet appear in the mind. Therefore, you must know how to guard your mind without allowing any more evil thoughts to appear in the mind. 2 methods here. Then, uppannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ anuppannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ. Kusala dhamma, good thoughts. When the good thoughts appear in our mind, in any wicked man's mind, occasionally good thoughts also appear. So when such good thoughts appear in the mind, then use your full effort, mental energy to uphold without allowing that good thought to disappear from the mind. Use your effort. Then 1 or 2 good thoughts appear, but there are many more good thoughts not yet appear. Then develop your mind, more and more good thoughts to appear in the mind. These are the 4 methods. If you really want to guard your mind, awareness of the mental activities is very important. Then the senses. The mind wants to use our senses. Through these senses, the mind catch certain objects. Some are very fascinating, pleasing. Some are very irritable, disturbing. Then this becomes a very big burden to our mind. All the 5 senses, eyes, ear, nose, mouth and the body, 5. Always we experience certain ill feeling or irritable feeling or disturbances, if not very pleasant, very soothing feeling. But both can arouse our emotion, human emotion. When human emotion is aroused, if it is very attractive, colorful, wonderful, pleasant feeling, we want to get it. We want to experience it. Then we want to follow. Then use our full effort by spending any amount to experience that pleasure. But we do not consider whether this pleasure is advisable for us to experience or not. Only emotion needs entertainment. If it is unpleasant, very irritable feeling, then the mind becomes very, very unhappy, become burdened, and a lot of disturbances take place in the mind. That is how these five senses always disturb our mind. So mental discipline is important by controlling these senses and not to bring all these objects into the mind. I think you have heard Daruchirya, very religious man. He was not a Buddhist, had been practicing ascetic life, cultivated, developed his mind, but he had only one problem: difficulty of controlling the senses. So he went to see the Buddha. He was staying very far away. Having heard the Buddha's name, he went to see him. When he visited the monastery, he found out the Buddha has gone out for his pindapata, arms round. He could not tolerate. He went to that direction and met the Buddha and asked this question. Then the Buddha said, "This is not the time for me to preach. I'm going out for my arms round." Second time also he requested. The Buddha said, "Sorry, this is not the time." Third time also he asked. Then the Buddha, there must be something. Because this man says, "Reverend Sir, everything is impermanent. Your life also impermanent, and my life also impermanent. We may never get this chance again. Why not you reveal this to me?" Then the Buddha wanted to see what is happening. He knew that he cannot survive. His maximum lifespan is ending. He had to depart from this world. Time has come according to his own karma. The Buddha cannot extend it. There's no one, nobody in this world who can extend it. His own karma. He knew that his lifespan is ending. Then he stopped going out for his arm rounds, then answered. So what is your question? He said, still I cannot control my mind because five senses bring objects into the mind. So I cannot stop it. I cannot control it. Can you please tell me how to do this? This is the only question. Then the Buddha gave the answer. Ditte dittamattang, sute sutamattang, evante bahya sikkhitabba. Bahya, you must discipline your mind through senses in this way. When you look at, when you see something, look at. Don't stop that. Don't close your eyes. Look at and see what it is. After that, analyze what that object is. Then stop it there. Don't bring that object into the mind. Drop it there. Then the mind never gets that burden. Sute sutamatta. When you listen to some sound or voice, listen. Don't close your ears. Listen carefully, mindfully. After listening, all right. Stop that. Don't bring the sound waves into your mind. I have told you this story. A monk who wanted to meditate in his own monastery was disturbed by a young girl. Because her house also very close to the monastery. Every evening, when he wanted to meditate, this girl starts singing. Singing and enjoying. Her singing disturbed the meditation. But the monk has no right to go and tell this girl not to sing. She is doing in her own house. Then what did he do? He concentrated on her singing and took this as an object for his meditation. Without developing attachment, without enjoying, without allowing to arouse emotional feeling, only sound vibration, he took as an object for his meditation. He was succeeding. See how we can take the same object which disturb the mind, but by reducing discrimination, attachment, hostility, enmity, use normal mind, then scolding also you can take as an object for your meditation. When somebody started to come and scold you, then don't analyze his words, what he uttered. Allow him to shout. Concentrate on the sound vibration. You never analyze the words that he uttered. So, by shouting, he cannot disturb your mind. Because you are not concentrating on word, only the sound vibration. I told you Sariputta, Buddha's disciple, a man who was very angry, a Brahmin, scolded him by using all the available dirty, vulgar, wicked words. Sariputta was sitting like a statue. He was very angry because no reaction, nothing. Then he shouted again, "Did you hear what I told you just now?" Then Sariputta opened his eyes and said, "What did you say?" "You did not hear that I scolded you." "Did you scold me?" "I didn't hear." Because he was not concentrating to his scolding. He has diverted his mind toward another object at that time. This is another technique. So when somebody comes and started to scold, what do you have to do? If you cannot take that scolding as an object, you must control inhaling, exhaling, breathing, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, breathing, you cannot hear what he recites, what he is shouting for. He will stop. This is the technique. We had to develop our mind up to that extent. It is not hypocrisy. It's a technique to guard the mind, to avoid irritation, disturbances. So, senses we can control in that way. Otherwise, the mind always focus through the senses to catch the object. That is the duty of the senses. Then you can ask, a blind, deaf person can concentrate very easily, isn't it? Because he cannot see anything, he cannot hear anything. If you think that way, you are wrong. Because in that person's mind, there is impatience, no contentment or satisfaction. Always he worries because he cannot see, he cannot hear. The mind cannot use through these two channels. The mind also very unhappy. So you cannot concentrate easily just because we are blind or deaf. So we had to discipline them purposely by knowing. Now we had to come to the word that we uttered. The sound comes from the mouth, but the words come from the mind. Mind creates the words, then come out from the mouth. Therefore, mind is responsible for that also. When the mind creates the words, You must know how to guard your tongue. You must know the art of talking. That is very important. We create enormous problems and troubles and misunderstanding and enmity because of our word. The wrong word, the rough and tough and ugly and vulgar word that we use. We had to suffer because of certain bad words that we have uttered. When we are angry, you know very well, at that time we have no sense of reasoning. We lost. Then the words come out like bullets from a machine gun. Any kind of dirty or vulgar word. When we are normal, we regret for uttering such dirty and wicked and harmful words because we have created a lot of enemies and we hurt others' feelings and disturb others. The advice given by the Buddha for this is, if you haven't got any important things to talk, observe noble or golden silence. If you have something to talk, you have to talk. Because in another discourse, he said, only foolish people observe silence because they haven't got anything to talk. Our Buddha did not encourage that you must observe silence always. When there is anything important to talk, you must talk. Otherwise, observe silence. But many others say, observe silence, don't talk. That is not the remedy. So, 4 things we always commit by using words. Telling lies, using harsh and wicked words, and gossiping, slandering, and talking nonsense. 4 things. Meaningless word. Of course, when we joke, we use certain word just to create some sort of emotional feeling. That one is not under this category. Even in the Buddha's teaching, there are very humorous way of interpretation, certain incidents and certain terms. But people go on talking all sort of unnecessary, meaningless words. Go on talking, whole day and night go on talking. Nothing. These are the 4 things. Telling lies, using harsh or wicked or vulgar word, and slandering, or they call carrying tales. Go and tell others and make them enemies. And talking rubbish, useless. All these 4 kinds of way of talking create a lot of problems for others as well as for us. This is the way how to guard our tongue without allowing this mouth to talk unnecessary things. Then come to the action. We want to do something either for our living or for our pleasure. Then we have to consider the action that we are going to take or to do, whether it is reasonable, justifiable. We have to consider earlier. Whether we create violence or whether we break or violate our humane qualities or our religious principles. We have two things here. Those who have no religions also maintain humane qualities, virtues, gentleness, by knowing human values. So they do not deprive or abuse their humane qualities. They have no religion, but still they know how to behave in gentle way. But those who have religions, they have either precepts or commandments or religious vows. There are three things here. We have no religious vows or penalties. We have no religious commandments or religious punishment. But we have religious principles. And what is the difference? To observe commandment, to follow these commandments, it is not necessary to understand the significance of these commandments. As a law, they obey, they listen, they follow. Those who observe vows, they promise by uttering certain words or creating some sort of determination that we must do this or we should not do this. Whether they are meaningful or reasonable, significance or not, makes no difference. Mostly traditional vows. The Buddha did not encourage even for that. They do, though they make these vows by thinking they can eradicate or get rid of certain bad luck, evil forces or bad karmas, to get rid of them. They make vows. Just now I told you, some people make vows not to talk, completely stop talking. What is the idea behind? All the bad deeds that person has committed earlier by using his mouth can be washed away when he stops talking. Are these kind of vows. Buddhism never encouraged this. Then we observe only religious by knowing the significance or efficacy of these principles. Why do we observe or practice? Because we know if we violate one of these, we harm others, we disturb others. Therefore, it is not for our own sake, own benefit, or to get rid of our sins or bad karmas, or to go to heaven. But by doing some service to others, because we allow others to live peacefully. That is the meaning of observance of precepts. So don't think that you observe these precepts only for your own benefit or purifications or blessings, but by observing, you are contributing, you are rendering the highest service to others. Let us take these five. You observe the precept not to kill, not to destroy, not to harm other living beings. What a wonderful service to others, so that they can live peacefully without fear. Why many of those birds and animals never come to us, scared of us, because they think that we harm them, kill them. Therefore they don't trust human beings. But we can see birds always go and sit on the back of cows and horses and elephants and all the other living beings, because they trust the animals. They never harm them. But how many birds come and sit on your head? They are scared of you. That is why it is necessary for us to tame and tame and tame. And when you extend your sympathy, kindness, compassion towards those animals, then slowly, slowly, they also come very near. And those who meditate in the jungle, many of those wild animals become very friendly, because they create very peaceful atmosphere around that area by radiating their metta, kindness, compassion, goodwill. They feel. These animals have a strong feeling. Then they come nearer to us, closer to us. Not only that, we believe that there are some evil forces, such as spirit or ghost or devils, or here also mentioned some of the names. Whether they exist as living beings or not, whether they are some sort of evil forces, because it is a controversial subject. Some people don't believe that they are living beings. Even Mara also, many people do not take as a person, evil force. Every religion. We always talk Mara as evil, greatest evil force, Mara. And Christianity, Islam also talk about Satan, devil, influence, encourage others to do evil, also take as a person. Hinduism also use another term, asura. Asuras are wicked, or fight with devas also. So in every religion there's a very strong opposition party. Of course, must be very strong. When you go and tell another person, today one man came to bully me, I gave him properly, he was a huge fellow, I gave him properly, maybe very small one, but he was a huge fellow, I gave him properly, he ran away. Because that person must be a very strong person, otherwise you cannot show that you are also strong. So religions create, the Mara is very strong, Satan is very strong, devil is very strong, Asura is very strong, so you can topple them. But they are evil forces. Many people take them as evil forces. But many others take them as living beings. It doesn't matter whether they are living beings or evil forces. When we develop, cultivate, purify, strengthen our minds, those evil forces or those evil persons also have no power to disturb us, attack us. That is what here the Buddha says. Deva or Mara or Brahma or Gandharva, another name of some sort of supernatural living being, there are so many. They become powerless. They cannot attack you, they cannot defeat you. They cannot harm you or disturb you. The mind is strong. Because of the weakness of our mind, we always surrender to them, listen to them, create fear, imaginations in our mind. But those who do not believe that there are no such persons or such evil forces, the mind itself creates all these evil forces. Through this understanding, they know how to guard their mind. Then they have no fear of any of these living beings. So the Buddha is trying to give a beautiful advice for us to cultivate our mind, train our mind and senses, discipline them, reduce evil forces from the mind. We have devils and maras and ghosts, animals, all are in our mind. Because sometimes we behave like devils, like ghosts, like mara, like animals. Because they are in our mind. Now they are hiding. Because we pretend we are good, we are religious. But when the irritation or somebody provoke those sleeping devils and ghosts and mara, gata, then behave, completely change the face also, become reddish color, eyes open so big, the mouth so big, the word like bullet. Mara is talking, devil is talking, not human being. They have come out. When we become normal, calm, our mind again, they go back and sleep. If you can analyze this, you can understand who are the real maras and devils and ghosts, that human mind. These animals in the jungle, they have wild nature. They have no, what you call, discipline according to our way of life. But they have their own discipline. You can see cows, horses, goats, sheep, hundreds and thousands of them walk together. But one who is in the front, as their head, when you stop walking, all the others stop. See what sort of discipline they have. Others never run from the enemy. But we human beings, if our leader stops, then he says, go to hell with him, he can go. This is the human nature. But animals never do that. Stop, everybody stand until the leader moves. You watch very carefully. They have their own discipline. They have some sort of feeling. And we have a cat here in my room. Early morning when I get up, this cat follow me making noise, want to eat. I have cat food. So I give some food to eat. When this cat started to eat, if I come out to go out for a walk, you stop eating and follow me. Go round and round and round and round and round and round until I come back. This never come and eat. As soon as I enter into my room, then go back and eat. Can you imagine what sort of understanding they have, animals? When I go out, that cat occupies my table. Sit down until I come back. When another person go there and try to do some work, the paperwork, he come and sit down on the paper. So we cannot understand. So they too have some responsibilities, discipline. So as human beings, we always say we have sense of reasoning. Animals have no sense of reasoning. But they have some sort of understanding. The wild animal, we regard them as wild because they don't listen to us, they don't obey. But they have their own discipline, own way of life. Assume we catch few of them, monkeys, tigers, lions, and train them. How do we train them? Beating and beating and beating and beating create fear. Then ask them to do something. Jump. Don't know to jump, then beat. Then jump. Second time you also bring here. Jump. Doesn't know to beat. Then jump. We train and train and train. After that, become very obedient. So next time they do what we ask them to do. But they do not do that with understanding because of fear. But whenever they come back to their animal nature, they forget that. That is why in certain circus, suddenly they get angry, attack their master and kill lions and tigers. They go back to their natural animal nature. So human mind is not like that. We have to train through understanding. Punishment is not the remedy. This I have told you. Those days I used to visit Pudu jail as a visiting justice. Go and talk to all those inmates and find out what are the grievances, discriminations, what sort of food they get, come back and record in the book. Not as a religious service. So I met so many young people inside the jail. I asked, why? What have you done? They say, well, we have been associating with gangsters and robbery and drugs and all sort of things. So we are here for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. All right. When you go back, what are you going to do? Nothing else. We have to continue the same thing what we have done. This clearly shows punishment is not the solution to change the mind to be good. That is why in Buddhism we cannot find religious punishment. Only through understanding. So, the whole teachings of the Buddha emphasize directly towards human mind. Not to God, not to heaven, not to hell, or any other speculative subject, but human mind. Therefore, that's another name for Buddhism in those days. Vijñapti Matra. Human mind analyzed the whole world as a concept. It is true, although we cannot understand. When we analyze every existing thing, in the end, only concept. Albert Einstein supported this idea, what the Buddha has said. Others could not understand. He said, let us analyze this world. All the elements and energies and cosmic energies, whatever it may be, go on analyzing. In the end, there is nothing. No world, no universe, no galaxies, no elements, only, he says, vibration. Albert Einstein said. So when the Buddha said this earlier, when we analyze this whole world, all these existing things, unit, whether it is matter, element or energy, concept, the mind creates. This word building, created by the human mind. This body, this life, this man or lady, created by the human mind. Child, created by the human mind. Trees, jungle, rivers, ocean, created by the human mind. And we give name to the fish, but fish do not know their own name. But we have, you can't believe it. But they do not know their name. That is concept. Everything that exists in this world, created by the mind. Therefore, chittena niyati loko. The whole world is run by the mind, mental energy. If there is no mental energy, there is no world to move. Again, Dhammana vattate loko. The world exists because of action, karma. Mind and karma work together. So mental energy, karmic energy, these two things contribute The existence of this world. When we say world, our measurement of this world is very poor. We take only earth and the jungles and the rivers and the rocks and the living beings as world. These are few units in this world. So the wheel of existence, repeated birth and death, that is the world. Imasmincha vyamamatte kalevale lokancha loka samudayancha panyapevi. Here, this is the way how the Buddha analyzed the world. If we want to see the world, it is not necessary for you to go out in searching anything. The whole world is within you. All the elements and energies and cosmic energies that exist in any part of the universe, you can find in your body also. When you analyze, you can see everything. So this is a world. So that's what I told you just now. Concentrated on the mind by knowing. Mind is responsible for our existence, for our changes, for our pleasure, for our suffering. Mind is responsible. So if you know how to deal with mind, how to handle this mind, reasonable way, we can avoid so many problems and worries and disturbances, fear that we maintain, we can avoid. Then not necessary to visit from temple to temples and this guru to that guru and this bomo and this, what do you call this, all sort of people talking about charms and black magics and devils and ghosts, and I told you all these things are in our mind. You can avoid all these things if you know how to control the mind. Thank you. 9:30.